Good morning and thank you for joining us. Momentarily, we will hear from Acting Detective Inspector Alex Kriegsman, head of the London Police Service Investigations Branch. Following his remarks, we will allow time for questions from the media.
Thank you, Sandasha. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here this morning. I'd just like to read to you a brief statement, and then, as Sandasha said, I'll open the floor to a few questions. So on September 10th, 2021 at about 7:50 p.m., Lynda Marques was shot in the driveway of her residence in North London. Lynda had just arrived home and was still in her vehicle when she was ambushed by two shooters who emerged from a black Volkswagen Jetta, which had stopped in front of her residence just as she arrived. After the shooting, they returned to the Jetta and fled the scene. The entire event was captured by surveillance cameras. Emergency crews responded to multiple 911 calls from citizens, and in spite of their efforts to assist Lynda, she was pronounced deceased. The London Police Service immediately entered into an investigation of Lynda's murder, which continues to this day. On September 15, 2021, the black Volkswagen Jetta, believed to be involved in Lynda's murder, was recovered near the north end of Meadowlily Road South, near Commissioners Road East. The Jetta underwent extensive forensic examination, and further investigation revealed that the Jetta had been reported stolen from Bluffers Park Beach in Scarborough on September 5, 2021. Further investigation has also led investigators to believe that the persons responsible for Lynda's murder were from the Greater Toronto Area, and that they had traveled to London on the evening of September 9 and returned to the GTA immediately after abandoning the Jetta on Meadowlily Road shortly after Lynda was shot. Today I'm announcing that Ammar Patel, 18 years old, from Toronto, has been charged with one count of first-degree murder. Patel has been in custody since November 17, 2021 on other matters unrelated to this case. However, he is scheduled to make an appearance in court here in London this afternoon in relation to this charge. The charge against Patel is not the end of this investigation. As you can see from information we have provided to you in the past, multiple persons were involved in Lynda's murder, and there is more work to do. We continue to make progress thanks to the work of the many investigators involved, as well as the help that we have received from members of the public. We continue to appeal for further information about this case. We firmly believe that there are others out there who have knowledge of the details of Lynda's murder. Anyone with information can contact the London Police Service at 519-661-5670, or you can provide your information to Crime Stoppers. And I can take a few questions.
Inspector, is there any indication that this was a case of mistaken identity, that Lynda wasn't the intended target of these shooters?
Well, I should preface the invitation to questions by saying this, that this is still an ongoing investigation. There are certain details of this case that I can't disclose to you at this point in time. And we are continuing to work on this investigation intensely. Questions, there may be some questions that I may not be able to answer. Your question, Dale, is one of those questions. We're still looking into that and investigating, why it is that Lynda became a target for this homicide.
Okay.
Where was Mr. Patel arrested, and how did that come about?
So Mr. Patel was arrested in the Greater Toronto Area on November 17, 2021. He was arrested in relation to an unrelated investigation that does not involve the London Police Service, and he's been held in custody since that time.
And can you say when he was arrested for that, how you connected him to this?
That forms part of the investigation, and I'm not going to go into details at this point in time.
Would that be like York Regional Police, if we want to kind of check that out, or?
It would be in Toronto.
Okay. All right. And do we know, I guess people would want to know, is Mr. Patel one of these three people in these photos?
Again, there are some investigative details that I can't share with you at this point in time. We are standing here today because we have reasonable grounds to believe that Mr. Patel was involved in Lynda's murder, and so we've charged him with that.
Inspector,
Go ahead.
did you ever end up speaking to that person of interest who you said may have some information?
So we believe we've identified this person. So far, we have not located him to be able to speak to him.
Have you located either of these other two people?
Again, that forms part of our investigation, and that is ongoing.
Can you say what role the drug trade may have played in this murder?
Again, part of the investigation, the details of which I'm not prepared to share with you at this time. We're looking at all the possibilities.
This is obviously still an unsolved murder. How frustrating is it to have crimes like this in the city? You haven't had many of them that are still unsolved to this point.
Well, it's definitely a challenge, but we're up to the challenge. The investigators are very committed to this. So we received significant assistance from members of the public, and we're grateful for that. And we continue to receive help from citizens, and also our investigators continue to be committed, and we intend to move this forward.
Inspector, you mentioned that the attack was caught on surveillance, and so that was likely this man's at the Marques house. Was that an issue to get that, or did the family cooperate to turn over that surveillance, or did you have to get a warrant to get it? Are you able to say?
Family was very cooperative, and so obviously we were able to acquire that video without any trouble.
And just to follow up, but again, you may not be able to answer this, but Lynda's longtime partner, Ali Batty, has obviously been accused of being linked to the gun and drug trade. Could that have been a factor in this at all? Is that something police are looking at?
Again, we are continuing to investigate. We're looking at all the possibilities. I can't. I'm not going to comment on Mr. Batty, except to say that why this happened to Lynda forms a central part of our investigation.
Are you able to say if Mr. Batty was home at the time of the shooting, or in the car at the time?
Right. I'm not going to share those details with you at this time.
Yeah.
What would you like going forward here from today? Like, what do you want to come out of this? Just more public awareness, more plea for help? Like, what are you looking for overall here?
Yeah. So first of all, it's important for us to share with the public that we're moving this investigation forward, that we're making progress on this investigation. Again, as I've done in the past, an appeal to the public to cast their minds back to September 10, 2021, or September 9. We're aware that the people involved in Lynda's murder traveled to London from the Toronto area on September 9 and left the city immediately after Lynda's murder. So again, although there's the passage of time, I would ask that people just continue to cast their minds back. And if they have any information, even if they think it's insignificant or won't matter, we would love to hear from them. And so that's the message I'd like to deliver.
Inspector, so you mentioned he was arrested in the GTA on November 17th, 2021, correct? Was he arrested in relation to this investigation, or was that for a separate matter that he was arrested?
That was for a separate matter.
Are you able to say when you linked him to this investigation?
I'm going to hold on to that for now. It was a process that unfolded over the course of time.
I assume you've been in contact with the victim's family. Are you able to say how they're feeling about this arrest being made?
Yeah, so we were in contact with the victim's family this morning. They expressed gratitude for the work of the police. And we assured them that in spite of this arrest and this charge, this investigation is not over.
At this point, I guess you've arrested this man and charged him, but you don't, is there anything you can say to this investigator? Like, you don't expect him to be the shooter or anything like that at this point? Like what you've arrested him and charged him with. So what was the charge that he's been charged?
First degree murder.
He's been charged with first degree murder. So this is the guy you believe to be the actual shooter.
Well, we believe that he's involved in this murder.
Do you know how many more suspects are at large? Do you have a number for that? Or?
Well, we believe there are several more, and we're continuing to investigate all of that, as you can probably imagine.
Inspector, you said Mr. Patel is going to appear in court in London today by video link. Is it by video link? I'm just curious about where he's in custody.
Right, so he's in custody in the Toronto area. He's en route to London now to make an appearance this afternoon.
Can you just talk about the effort that went into this investigation? And I know we spoke before, you said a lot of resources being put into this. Can you elaborate a little bit just so the public can see the effort that police put into laying these charges today?
Well, since the moment this happened, from the first line response to the immediate follow-up from forensic identification, from investigators, from other partners as first responders, to the ongoing efforts of investigators, well, since September the 10th, and we continue to investigate this. There's been hundreds of hours of investigation invested in this case, if not 1,000 or more. Significant resources that have been dedicated to this.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, we have time for one more question. Do we have any additional questions?
Do we get the spelling for the name, by any chance? The man arrested? Do we get the
Sure.
spelling?
First name Ammar, last name Patel.
Thank you.
Sorry, can I get that one more time?
Ammar Patel.
Thank you.
Great, thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you. Oops.